In his new book obtained by NBC News, Bolton delivers a scathing assessment of his old boss.
As much as it's going to be broken, this is highly classified. That's the highest stage. It's highly classified information.
The president also calling Bolton a liar, telling the Wall Street Journal everybody in the White House hated John Bolton.
I don't think he's fit for office. I don't think he has the competence to carry out the job. There really isn't any guiding principle that I was able to discern other than what's good for Donald Trump's reelection.
The president also criticized Bolton over his foreign policy hawkishness, calling him a, quote, fool who only wanted to go to war.
You have to question, John Bolton's motives here, because he didn't testify before Congress, which would have, diffused a lot of the power and sensationalism around selling this book. He got a $2 million advance instead to write this book, and he kept his mouth shut throughout impeachment. And that is obviously a huge cloud hanging over the publication of this book.
He is bitter and he's angry. This hurts the country. If you have a national security advisor that tells the inner secrets of what goes on behind closed doors with other nations, it hurts the country.
This is also some bullshit from John Bolton, because he could have testified in the Senate trial.
John Bolton knew it was wrong to stand idly by and accept the president repeatedly obstructing justice. He knew that the right thing was to stand idly by and wait on that book deal.
You're like a guy who sees his neighbor's house on fire and instead of calling 911 writes a book called, Hey, that house is on fire.
John Bolton could spend the rest of his life like Lady Macbeth trying to wash the blood off his hands and it would be there still.
It is important to note that John Bolton is trying to make money here. And it is curious to all of us that he wasn't willing to say this stuff to Congress, but he is willing to say it when he can make money. I'm not suggesting that what he's saying isn't true. I'm just saying that you do have to question his motives, and I have to question his motives even as a Democrat.
He's a total backstabber. I've known him for 10 years. He says all kinds of things about me in that book. He never was man enough to ever come up to me and raise that with me when we were in the administration, when I was representing the president. If he had a problem with my representation of the president, or a legal problem that the president had, as the president's lawyer and as his friend for 10 years, you think he'd have been man enough to come and tell me?
Rather than answer the call to testify about what he knew under oath in front of the House and the American people in the midst of an impeachment proceeding, Bolton fought against testifying. Instead, he shared his thoughts in a private speech to some rich bankers who paid him for it. He also held out for a $2 million book deal. And now Bolton is attempting to literally cash in on betrayal of his country.
The fact that he wasn't willing to testify in the House and was willing to tie us up in court for a long time, but willing to tell the story to a book, to make money for a book, tells you a lot about John Bolton's character.
My reaction is that John Bolton has discredited himself. He is a misguided hawk on foreign policy and a weak dove of an author. This man is someone who praised President Trump as being strong on foreign policy, not making the mistakes of previous administrations, perfectly prepared.
What is the duty of the Mattises, the Tillersons, and the Boltons to do something in real time or to say something in real time? These aren't just little nuances that might be troubling. This is unpatriotic behavior. These are actions that endanger our national security, that endanger the American people.
Do you think that Democrats, is it too late? Do you think the Democrats should now subpoena John Bolton to come and answer some questions?
I think that's something we ought to consider.